Hello and welcome back to the Daily Weekly Podcast. This week we're talking about some of the biggest Olympic scandals of all time because, you know, the Olympics have been on recently, the Paralympics are on.
And I love a scandal.
And Rachel loves a scandal. And, you know, this might seem something a bit different to our usual stuff, but it's, you know, there's some pretty interesting stuff here.
It's topical.
It's topical. So we're going to make the most of it.
Exactly. And, you know, this only happens once every 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Actually, I have a question. Mm-hmm. Is the next Olympics still going to be in 2024?
I believe it is, yeah.
So it's only 3 years?
3 years till the next one.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's like,
well, always remember the 2020 Olympics that happen in 2021.
It's like the 2020 Euros that happened in 2021.
What else happened?
I don't know. Pretty. Did they call Eurovision 2020, or was it?
I actually can't remember, and I did watch the whole thing.
Maybe that too. Pretty much any big event just kept the date last year.
Exactly.
Okay, for all the marketing stuff, they'd already have it made up.
I know. You can't, you know, just like rip off the sticker on a t-shirt and put it back on.
You just pretend like 20, you know.
We'll just pretend.
It happened when it was supposed to and everything's normal.
It's as if 2021 hasn't happened though.
Exactly. So.
Or next year.
Oh, we skip a year.
Yeah, we just go, Inception. Oh. Okay, so today we are going to go on a bit of a trip. Not going to call it down memory lane because this certainly isn't in my memory.
No.
But we're going to go through history and look at the most scandalous things that happened at the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So, starting at the very beginning, a very good place to start. In 776 BC, BC meaning before Christ, if you weren't aware.
Yeah.
So, a very long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we all know, Greece is the home of the original Olympics, the ancient Olympic Games. And it did feature some of the most controversial
things. It's very controversial,
including
back in the day.
Boycotting and violence and exclusion. So only 3 men were allowed to participate. 3 men, I suppose, meaning men that weren't married or were less than a fiver. I don't know.
Yeah. Back when sports players didn't have big fees that came with them.
Yes, exactly. Do you remember when people did it for the sheer hell of it?
I know, not for 20 million a season.
And do you know what? They also did it in the nude.
Yes, they did.
I mean, that is an episode of Naked Attraction waiting to happen.
Yes.
Women could participate in separate events, but only if they were married.
Interesting.
So that's interesting that men had to be free men, but then women had to be married. So I guess their spouse would have to sign on the dotted line, say, she's alright, she can do it. I don't mind her being naked in a field full of other naked women. So, as a political move, or at least the pagan celebrations associated with the Olympics, it was discontinued in 394 AD after death. Again, if you don't know. By Roman Emperor Theodosius I to mark the beginning of Christian rule. Oh, which is quite...
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I love history, so now I'm like, I've got my history hat on, like...
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Just learning so much stuff.
I know. It's also interesting how Christian rule started 394 years after Jesus Christ died.
I know, yeah, I knew vaguely that it wasn't like instant.
Like, he died, we must
after.
do it. So it was quite controversial, it's quite scandalous. I mean, you don't see Olympians doing it in the nude these days.
No.
Unless you're Bradley and you watch the volleyball after hours.
They were wearing clothes. The clothes are very tiny, but they were there.
So yeah, I don't think it's that controversial because for the time...
Yeah.
And it was Greece.
I mean, clothes can be restrictive.
They can be restrictive.
And ancient Greece was a very kind of chill place. I was going to say hot as well. I don't mean chill as in temperature, but they seem quite relaxed about certain things.
Even if you go on holiday to Greece now, most of the women sunbathe topless.
Yeah, it's just a part of the culture.
Exactly, and I quite like that. I wish we were less stiff upper. I'm not saying we should keep doing the games nude, but I wish we were not so much stiff upper lip. Stiff upper lip. I think I said stiff upper.
Stiff upper lip. There we go.
So yeah, that is our first scandal. On to our next one. Would you like to do this one for us, Brad?
Yeah, now we're jumping ahead a few hundred years in history to 1896, women need not apply. This is for the Athens Olympics, I believe. So gender exclusion was part of the first modern Olympics. Nevertheless, this did not stop at least one woman, Stamata Reviti, from running the marathon anyway. Oddly enough, it is contested whether a second female marathon runner, identified only as Melpomene, also participated.
Is that a type of cancer?
Melpomene. Maybe. Yeah. Sports historians remain divided on the matter. Women were only allowed to participate in the next Olympics held in Paris.
So I think this is important to mention.
Yeah, I think it's a big historical
Absolutely
thing. Like, the men saying no, but the women be like, do you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Why should I not be able to do this?
I think it was only quite recently, don't quote me on how recently, that women were allowed to join in the boxing. So there is still that sort of gender divide. Obviously it could be because not enough women were doing it, but then why aren't enough women doing it? Because there aren't enough boxing coaches that will coach girls and women. Yeah,
definitely.
Get me started on that. No, but yeah, I expect it for the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not a big shock, but it's still a scandal nonetheless. And yeah, going back to 1896.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you ready to move on?
Ready to move on? What's next?
So the next one is one that I really wanted to talk about. It's probably one of the most famous scandals based around the Olympics, and it was Hitler's Olympics in Berlin in 1936. Where were you in Berlin 1936 if you weren't at Hitler's Olympics? I mean, it was called Hitler's Olympics. So obviously Hitler is quite well known for being... there isn't a word. Hitler's well known for being a Nazi.
Yeah, that's true.
And he did want pure area superiority at the Berlin Olympics. He wanted it all over the world. He wanted it politically, socially, everywhere. So it's no surprise that he wanted it at the Olympics. And then African-American Jesse Owens stepped in and was like, hold on, sis. I'm going to win 4 gold medals. And he's one of the most well-known runners, track athletes, I think people know of. Even, in schools today, they teach about Jesse Owens.
I don't think I knew this, to be honest.
You didn't know about Jesse Owens?
No, I don't think so.
We teach it at school.
Oh.
And it's just really important, obviously, not just as part of, if you learn about, like, Nazi culture, but also about, like, equality for African Americans.
Yeah, that. I was going to go on to say that it's interesting that he was an African American Olympian in his own right. To think the troubles that were going on in America anyway with racism.
Yeah. They're still going on today.
I mean, they're still going on today, but it's just like 1936. I think that's pretty impressive.
That's about 85 years ago. So yeah, no, that is insane. But it's also brilliant, and I think it did lead the way for many other African American or black-skinned athletes such as Usain Bolt and other Olympians such as that.
Yeah.
Furthermore, there was a Hungarian high jumper. How would you attempt that?
Whose name we can't pronounce, but I would say... Bolyashak.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, the Hungarian athlete Bolyashak, I believe.
Bolyashak.
I could be wrong. But he also won a gold medal in the high jump and was one of the 9 Jewish athletes to win.
To win a medal. So yeah, it was. So Hitler was obviously.
Just says to medal. I was confused.
To med. Oh.
Yeah, that's why I was a bit confused. So I assumed he won. Typing error in our notes here. My mistake.
But no, I think I quite love the irony of it that it was Hitler's Olympics and he wanted Aryan superiority.
And look at that, you've got
9 Jewish athletes won a medal, and then obviously Jesse Owens came in and won 4 gold medals.
Yeah, he did not want that.
He was fuming. I can only imagine how livid he was. Brings me so much joy. Okay, so another sorrowful one, but I think it's very important to mention. The 1968 Mexico City Massacre, which obviously happened in Mexico City.
In 1968.
Just to clarify, it happened in Mexico City.
In Mexico.
In 1968.
Yeah.
Around the time of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
So, with mounting pressure to host a protest-free Olympics, Mexican President Gustavo Díaz Ordaz ordered foot soldiers and tanks to enter the Plaza de la Tres Culturas, where thousands of students gathered to protest the PRI government. I don't know much about the PRI government. I'm quite good at foreign politics, but I'm not sure about that. Snipers were planted by the government, and they fired upon students who were provoking them to fire upon the ground. I might just whisper the rest. Anyway, at least 44 students and bystanders were killed. Exact details about the massacre remain unknown because the incident was suppressed by the government. Interesting, but also not unheard of. Yeah, I don't really know much about this. I don't know if it's obvious, but
no, I've not heard of it, but it sounds
catastrophic.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, what is the? Can I look it up? PRI government.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it anyway. Government. Please hold. We should have a pause button. What does the PRI stand for? Institutional. So its English translation is Institutional Revolutionary Party. In Mexican or Spanish, it's Partido Revolution. I'm not gonna say it. Go on, you give it a go.
Partido Revolucionario Institucional.
That was good. Well done.
It's my Spanish.
So I can't find much about it, but it don't look good.
I guess that adds to it. Why can't you find much about it?
Well,
the whole suppression of everything.
Suppressed information. So yeah, that's quite sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was about a protest-free Olympics, and obviously they were trying to stop the students from protesting, because it's only students that protest, of course.
Does it say why were the students protesting?
Against the PRI government.
Oh, right, yeah.
That we don't know anything about.
No, I see. Makes it all a bit shifty, isn't it?
It is a bit shifty. But yeah, that actually reminded me a bit of the IRA. Maybe it's just the letters, but yeah, found a bit suspicious about that. Okay, so yeah, we're on to this one.
Yeah.
So in 1988, doping takes first place. I'm also unsure if this is the first time doping took place, because obviously there's been so many scandals with doping over the years. What was the cyclist called? Lance Armstrong?
Yeah, I think so.
I was like, is that the astronaut or is that the cyclist?
That's Neil Armstrong.
That's Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
So Canadian Ben Johnson gained international attention when he tested positive for stanozolol.
Stanozolol.
I really tried with that one.
Yeah.
Stanozolol.
Stanozola. Stanozolol.
Stanozolol.
He tested positive for a drug that wasn't allowed, basically.
After winning gold and setting the world record for the 100 metres final at Seoul in 1988. Why am I a teacher?
Classic words.
So obviously it's an anabolic steroid banned by the International Association of Athletics Federation and International Olympic Committee for obvious reasons. It's a steroid.
It's cheating. No enhancements.
I know. I mean,
it's all
is that
about
him or is that him in the picture?
I'm not sure which one it is. It's about that raw power. The idea is that you're one of the best athletes, right? That's why you're at the Olympics, to prove yourself.
Exactly.
So.
And it's about working hard to get to where you.
Yeah.
To get there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
And I understand that people get so addicted and frustrated and they just want to win because they put so much time and effort into it, and for whatever reason they're just not the fastest. But come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I feel sorry for them. It's how low must they feel that they have to cheat? They might think it's the easy way out, but
it's not, because it leads to addiction.
Exactly. And then when are you going to stop? And then you get caught, and that's it. Your career's over, basically.
It's awful. And I know that drug testing is so huge with Olympians now.
I think that's why, I don't know if they still are, but Russia, they were banned from the Olympics because their team, like the whole team, well, the whole team, but a lot of the Russian Olympians were doping, I believe.
Oh, really?
And they got found out. I think they were fined and like banned from
this?
And not too long ago. Within the last 10 years, I believe. I could be wrong, but something in my mind's telling me that.
That's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad indeed.
Yes, they can ruin your career and other things.
Toilets and terror threats in the Sochi 2014 Winter Olympics. So there were many controversies around the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, from unfinished infrastructure to euthanization of stray dogs and terrorist threats, human rights issues, LGBTQIA plus issues, and scandals involving the men's toilets were just a few. I think the toilets, if I remember, because this was in a video I watched recently, the toilets were like all open, like they weren't blocked off in like little cubicles. Yeah. Like even the old-fashioned sitting down toilets.
The old-fashioned, the one you want to have a treat.
Yes. So for you men, if you prefer to sit down, or for any of your business, everyone can see you, which is
that's weird.
It's a bit different. Like the standing up ones, I get. The urinals, I get, if you don't have to space them out all the time, because some places do and some don't, in my experience. Every guy knows you don't go next to another guy.
No.
If one's there, you got to go at least one or two apart.
I love hearing about this. I never thought about this before.
Oh, yeah.
Any other...
No, that's my toilet talk done.
That's your... Okay.
But, yeah, so there were quite a lot of things that went... Like, there was so much wrong, basically.
But if it's to do with the unfinished infrastructure, then I don't think they meant. Obviously, it's massive screw up, but I don't think they meant to just leave the toilets.
No.
At least the women were covered. No, I'm joking.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't mention women here, but maybe I don't know how their toilets were. But
you didn't go check.
No, I didn't check in my trip to the Winter Olympics when I was there.
2014.
But despite all these mishaps, the games commenced with very few problems, so...
I don't remember any of this, but euthanization of stray dogs, that's the bit that stands up to me.
Yeah, it's like... I get, like, because, the Olympic Games cost so much money for, like, countries to host, because they have to, like, most of the time, they don't have any space for it. Yeah. They have to build everything. And I think that was the trouble they worried about for Rio. Is like, is it going to be finished in time? I think it was in the end, but
yeah, I think so.
And it's like with the London Olympics, it went over budget, and like all these things cost so much money. So
I know, it's crazy.
And it's like it's such a tight deadline, because like some of the countries don't like. There's a bidding process, but I think it's like
8 years.
8 years or 12 years. I mean, like that's not a long time to build up all this stuff.
No.
Really. So, yeah.
Yeah, what were the human rights issues? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm probably going to guess some sort of discrimination. Saying like, you can't play, perhaps. See, I mean,
you can't play with us.
I don't know off the top of my head, but, if I had to take a very... there's a word for what I'm trying to say here. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I don't know, but if I was going to take a certain view, I would think it was to do with like some sort of discrimination.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
right, is that us all wrapped up? Or
I think we've got time for one more.
Okay, so you choose.
I'm going to choose one randomly now, and I'm going to go for Terror in the Park.
Ooh.
From Atlanta, 1996.
Okay, so you go. You chose it.
Yeah,
you chose it.
So on July 27th, 1996, a pipe bomb exploded in the Centennial Olympic Park in Atlanta, Georgia, injuring 111 people, killing one, and causing a fatal heart attack in another. So, well, that's pretty serious. I've never heard of that.
Not pretty, like quite yet. Really serious. Someone died. Well, quite a few died.
Yeah. Richard Jewell, a security guard for the park, discovered the bomb and alerted authorities, who began clearing the crowd of the park where an evening concert was taking place. Jewell was falsely implicated in the bombing when an FBI leak reached the media. The real bomber, Eric Rudolph, a domestic terrorist known for abortion clinic bombings, was arrested on May 31st, 2003 and is serving life in prison.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So Nearly 7 years. He was not arrested for 7 years. And this poor security guard who just trying to do his job was
That's
put in the
so
frame
sad.
for it. I can't believe I've not heard of that. That seems...
I haven't
in recent
heard of
history, that
this.
seems like a pretty big event.
Yeah. So it exploded in the Olympic Park. Oh my god, so the way it says that he was known for abortion clinic bombings, to me that sounds like he must have been quite heavily religious. Because obviously...
yeah.
But then there's nothing in here to suggest that it was like a religious... something religious provoked him to do it.
Yeah.
No, that is mad. I can't believe I've never heard of that before.
No, I didn't expect it to get so
Dark. You're like, yeah, I'm going to choose this one.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. Wow, that's
crazy. Oh my gosh. Well, what a way to end it.
What a way to end. So, did you... I don't really know what to say to that, to be honest. Did you learn... did you find any of these out for the first time? Have you heard of any of these before? You know, which one do you think is the biggest Olympic scandal? I mean, in recent years, I'd say it'd have to be that one. That's the major terror incident.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got any others that we haven't mentioned, let us know, because we'd love to hear about it.
Definitely, yeah.
I don't know how to end this, and I literally just ended it with, like, a bomber.
Yeah, safe to say we're both a bit shocked by that one.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I think this has taught us to read through our notes before we record.
We do it live, folks. The one take, one shot. Do you know how it works?
One take wonder.
The one take wonder here at the Daily Weekly Podcast. We did hope you enjoy this episode. New ones every week. And until the next time, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.